In some cities plagued by gun violence, the solution was to ban the guns, but that didn't stop the gunfire. Chicago resident Otis McDonald challenged that city's handgun ban, saying he needed to protect himself.
Self-defense in America has been validated today.
The court said a complete ban on handguns is unconstitutional, ruling individuals have a fundamental right to protect themselves.
If I see the innocent and law-abiding citizens on the street with guns, I'll be safe. I'll feel safe because they are not going out there breaking the law.
The case split the court sharply along conservative liberal lines. Writing for the majority, Justice Samuel Alito reaffirmed a decision 2 years ago that said the Constitution's Second Amendment protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. That decision struck down Washington, D.C.'s handgun ban. But today's ruling resolved a huge question. Did that landmark decision apply to other cities and states, or only to Washington, D.C.? The court settled it today. The Second Amendment, Alito wrote, applies equally to the federal government and the states. Retiring Justice John Paul Stevens, in his last day on the court, said in dissent that the ruling would prove destructive to our nation's communities and to our constitutional structure. The ruling was a victory for the NRA, which has fought for decades to establish a constitutional right to own guns.
It's a vindication for the great majority of Americans all across this land.
But the court emphasized the right was not absolute. Cities and states can pass reasonable restrictions on gun ownership.
We feel confident that communities and states will be able to decide things now to keep their communities safe.
But even though today's ruling says cities and states can't ban handguns outright, this much is clear. There's going to be a lot of lawsuits over what kind of restrictions they can impose. Harry?
Jan Crawford at the Capitol tonight. Thanks. Today's high court ruling involved a ban on guns in a city plagued by some of this country's worst gun violence, Chicago. Cynthia Bowers is there.
Critics of Chicago's gun ban say this dramatic shootout on the city's south side highlights the problem with gun bans. Bad guys will find a way to get weapons, often leaving law-abiding citizens defenseless. Citizens like Colleen Lawson, one of the plaintiffs in the Supreme Court case, she wanted to own a gun after burglars targeted her home in broad daylight.
I would like to say that the Chicago crime buffet is over. We are not prey.
In a city where 175 people have died in gun violence so far this year, the question is whether the gun ban is doing any good. 2 weeks ago, 54 people were shot in one weekend, leaving 10 of them dead. Mayor Richard Daley, a longtime gun ban supporter, saw the Supreme Court ruling coming, but was furious nonetheless.
No one keeps statistics on the number of lives saved by the existence of a gun ban.
Handgun ownership may become legal, but it won't be easy. The mayor hopes to enact tough new regulations for prospective gun owners that would require training, testing, even ballistic tests for any guns purchased. Police officer and